Welcome back to Real America. My next guest is a retired California assemblyman, a contributor to the Western Journal, and the former national director of the Organization of Young Americans for Freedom. I want to welcome to the show in studio, Stephen Baldwin. Steve, thanks for coming in today, making the drive to our studios here. We're practicing the COVID social distancing, so you're well over 6 feet away from me.
Yes.
Just like to point that out. Let's get right to it. When your booker, producer, your people reached out to our people here at Real America and want to get you on the show, one of the first things that perked my interest was your knowledge and what you've been digging up when it comes to the connection of the Biden-Harris camp and their relationship to, that wasn't a Freudian slip, their relationship to the violent, use that word, violent, protesters, it's not protesting, it's looting and rioting, that's been going around the country. Everybody wants to know who's funding them, who's bailing them out, who's putting pallets of bricks in suburbs, who's paying for these buses of them. A lot of folks pointing the finger at George Soros, but you say it could be him, but there's some others that might be connected to this. Please expand on that.
Well, both Biden and Kamala Harris have staff members who are advisors to the Ford Foundation, which is the largest funder of the defund police movement in America today. And they're both strong supporters of the Minnesota Freedom Fund, which is a fund that actually bails out violent protesters so they go back out and commit more arson and more assault on people and property. And so this whole idea that they are opposed to the violence is kind of, when you drill down, you find out it's all a bunch of political spin.
It's a bunch of BS. You can say that. That's okay.
Okay.
It really is. Yeah, we say that on this show because I think real Americans need real talk and they want to hear it real. Let's talk about that connection. You brought something up very interesting to me. We saw this in, I think, Missouri was one of the states for sure, where some of the people being bailed out, their criminal history is longer than my arm. You've got sex offenders, pedophiles, armed robbers, all this stuff. These guys get bailed out by this fund. And they're backing it and then act like, well, they didn't act like they cared about the violence until their poll numbers went down when Joe came out of the basement. But I can't believe they don't think the American people will be smart enough to dig this up and look and find the connection.
Yeah, it is shocking. We're undergoing a dramatic spin in the media to try to portray these people as pro-law and order because the polls suddenly show that all this rioting and destruction of our cities is actually not that politically popular. So suddenly they're trying to portray themselves as law and order candidates, but they have never condemned Antifa or Black Lives Matter by name, neither one. And both have a whole history of supporting radical movements like this. So the whole idea these people are on our side on the law and order issue is just all about 2020 and trying to win over independent, undecided voters in a few months here.
Yeah, it's all optics. It's pushing a narrative, and they've got a big cheerleader, the mainstream media. That's why we're here on Real America, to keep it real. But let's talk about your knowledge of Miss Harris's background. You were in the California legislature, so you were in Sacramento when she was the DA in San Francisco, and I looked, some stuff on Wikipedia has been wiped. Let's talk about her record, because they're reaching out and saying that the black voters should vote for them. Biden even making that racist comment that you ain't black if you don't vote for him. You know her history. I mean, this woman as a DA and then the GA in the Golden State put black and brown people in jail for longer terms than white people. And now she expects to be our vice president. When you were in the legislature, is that what you saw? This is a fact, right? This isn't people making up a narrative to put her down.
Well, yeah, we also saw a lot of corruption. She was engaged in all kinds of favoritism when she was district attorney and attorney general of California. She was engaged in letting pedophile priests off the hook. She was given tons of evidence, overwhelming evidence of pedophile activity by a number of priests. And because they were connected to some powerful people who were connected to Kamala, suddenly all those cases were buried. In fact, you can't even obtain those files anymore. They've disappeared. So she was one of the few district attorneys in the whole country that did not file any case, not one case, against a priest engaged in a pedophile activity. And there was all kinds of evidence of that in the diocese in San Francisco. So she has a whole history of prosecuting based on who gives to her, who doesn't give to her, who she likes at the moment, who she doesn't like. It's not an equal application of the law. Her record is a horrible record, and everyone who knows anything about her record in Sacramento knows this to be the case.
Well, and you were there, so you know firsthand. Steve Baldwin, thanks for joining Real America. Come back anytime, and I'm glad that you dropped some truth bombs there, and hopefully these folks that are still on the fence and deciding, the undecided voter, look into the facts, stop reading the headlines, and realize what a Biden-Harris presidency could look like. Steve, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Yep. All right, don't go away. After the break, we're going to introduce you to a rising young star in the Republican Party who's running for change in her Florida district. Also, actor, model, and conservative activist Antonio Sabato Jr. joining me to discuss his new mission in life. Don't go away. You're watching Real America.